So Vivek Ramaswamy, the 37-year-old Indian origin multi-millionaire, is now making waves not just in the United States, but also across the globe as he's surging ahead in the GOP presidential polls. To speak of him and his chances in the upcoming elections of 2024, I'm joined by Mr. Michael Thompson, who's a close ally of President Donald Trump and the chairman of the Republican Party in Lee County, Florida. I'm also joined by Mr. Vinson Xavier, who's a successful businessman and the founder of the political think tank Indo-American Center. He's an active politician and also a member of the Republican Party as well. So welcome to the discussion, Michael and Vinson. Michael, I'll start with you. The first time I saw Vivek was in a podcast back in February of 2023, and I must say I was almost immediately impressed by the guy. He's smart, he's very well spoken, and he backs it up with facts, but never in my wildest dreams did I think that this guy would make it this far. Am I the only one surprised?
Well, a lot of people are surprised, about Vivek's performance so far. The messaging that he's putting out, is exactly what the majority of America is buying right now. So it's refreshing, for me, to see Vivek, have so much success, that he has had so far, because it's refreshing, not to have, a 70 or 80-year-old person standing up there. A lot of times people like that can't relate to the everyday American. But, Vivek is obviously a lot younger, a lot more hip, a lot more into what, I guess you would say society is really all about today.
Right. So, Michael, in case you didn't know, Vinson and I and Vivek Ramaswamy's parents happen to be from the same state in India. So maybe that's one of the reasons why Vinson has suddenly switched from Trump to Vivek, because I remember having conversations with you in the 2020 cycle, and you were a staunch Trump supporter. You were actually a die-hard Trump supporter. In fact, you actually got in a bit of trouble because of that as well. Vinson?
I haven't really switched. I mean, that is not the right way of putting it. I am still a big supporter of Trump. So as you can see, things have changed after the January 6th, and all of our posts and everything is getting really picked by the social media and curtailed. So as far as I am concerned right now, I lost a lot of my voice that I had before the 2020 elections. So at this point, even if I am a Trump supporter, strong supporter, if I take that message to the Indian community, the immigrant communities that I was doing in the 2020 election season, I get immediate backlash because of all what is happening, because that's what they listen to, CNN and all their channels. So as far as I'm concerned, Vivek is my opportunity to continue to serve the same message to the same group of people. Because when Vivek says this, of course, he doesn't have that label like I have as a insurrectionist or whatever they call me. But at the same time, I'm a person who believes in getting people from the other side as well to join us. That's one thing that was during Trump's time. The other side hates him like a passion. It has become some kind of a psychotic disorder for these people. They're not even ready to listen to him. But Vivek's case, people are listening because he's new. So this is the messenger right now that I have, whom I have easy way of disseminating that message to the crowds that I wanted to disseminate it to. So as far as I can tell, I haven't really endorsed Vivek. I'm really endorsing his views that are the same views that Trump has. So there is no real, really a changeover. I really like Vivek. How far this goes, I'm also very curious to see.
Yeah, well, I guess at this point, it's pretty obvious that he will make it to the debates. But the question is, how well can he handle Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, especially Trump? Because if you've seen his debates, you know that he has this quality of brushing aside questions that he doesn't like. He calls it ridiculous or fake news, and people still stand up and applaud for that. Whereas Vivek, on the other hand, is a straight up facts and logic guy. So people would expect a response from him. Although in a way it's a blessing, I also think it's going to trouble him a little bit. What do you think, Michael?
I think that'll actually give him the opportunity to, share his thoughts, with the majority of Americans. I don't think the majority of Americans really know too much about him. I don't really know too much about him myself, other than what you hear, here and there and things like that. I've sat down, I've listened to him multiple times, give interviews. He speaks very well. But those debate stages, those are, you got to be on your A game if you want to survive a debate. Trump thrives during debates. That's what he's made for. He's I don't want to say confrontation, but he's actively involved in conversations, and he will debate you, very quickly. Vivek is very highly intelligent. He'll give you the answer, whether you want to hear it or not. But sometimes the American people don't want to hear the answer. They already know the answer. They want to see someone who's going to get up there and stand up and push back against these people. And I'm not sure if Vivek is, at that point yet where he's going to be able to stand up and push back hard on the media. I've seen him do very well with the media, but I've never really seen him, take it directly to them.
Vivek was actually a guest in the Breakfast Club radio a couple of weeks back, and they actually pressed him on a couple of issues, one of which was his voting age. He made his first vote in 2020, and they asked him, hey, you made your first vote just 3 years back, and now you want to be president? They also asked him this, which I thought was intriguing. They said, you've never been in a city council or a county council. You've never been a mayor or a governor. Why make the giant leap? Why don't you wait? Why don't you get some experience before you serve the whole country? What do you think, Vinson? Do you think Trump would also take note of this? He would also maybe make this, a tool during the debates?
See, as far as I can tell, there is not going to be an open confrontation at this point where Trump is going to ask his experience, because Trump personally himself is a person who thrived on talking about his lack of political experience and being inside the game. So that's not where Trump is going to, going to attack Vivek. I think Trump is going to just make fun of him, maybe, just like he does. But Vivek, maybe, because of Vivek's personality, just like Mike said, he's going to be intelligent. He's going to be kind of talking more about issues and articulate. And I think he has shown the ability to kind of brush aside the ways that Trump can attack him. So he is the only person he is attacking right now. Personally, what I have seen is DeSantis. And some of those attacks are kind of are fair, in my opinion, because, basically, there is a lot of difference from what I can see about the way DeSantis takes on the Democrats and, the big companies like, Disney, and how Trump was of a very transparent, very libertarian-minded, very to the principle politician, even though he had his style of, talking that a lot of people have, problems with, but still he has been an extremely constitutional president. I like that about him, and Vivek is going to be the same way too. In my thinking. So I don't think the fight between them is anytime in the immediate future, because from what I see, Vivek is the person who is passionately supporting Trump in his problems with the government, and they're all definitely helpful for Trump in this difficult time. Otherwise, if no Republican is really supporting him, then people will start kind of thinking that he's doomed. But now a very strong presidential candidate, an opponent on the Republican side supporting Trump, is an asset for Trump also. I don't think at this point a problem between them is going to be a major flashing thing in the next debate coming.
Right. Vivek also keeps saying that if he's the one running instead of Trump, Democrats would reconsider keeping Biden as their candidate. Why do you think he thinks that? And also, do you think Biden is a good candidate even for Trump at this stage?
Yeah, I mean, Biden isn't really a candidate for nobody. I mean, the guy is illegitimate. He is seriously a puppet head. That's all he is. Obama and Susan Rice are still running the country. This is his third term, Obama's. I'm not sure why Vivek would say that. I think the Democrats are in a real tough spot right now. If you ask me, I don't believe Joe Biden will be running in 2024. I don't personally believe he'll even finish out the next year and a half. I think he's got some problems headed his way. I think everything's kind of being lined up now for Michelle Obama to get pulled back into this. And if it's not her, it'll be Gavin Newsom. But it's not going to be Joe Biden. I can almost promise you that much.
Right. So I was watching the Turning Point USA Action Summit the other day, and there were lots of exit interviews happening. And interestingly, just like you and Vinson, people who are staunch Trump supporters seem to like Vivek a lot. But here's one thing that I found intriguing, because in the interviews they said, well, we like Vivek because he shares the same principles as that of Trump. He has the same vision as that of Trump, but he isn't seasoned enough. What do you think, Michael, of that argument?
Well, so I'm the chairman of the Republican Party, down here in Lee County, Florida, and I've been in politics for 3 years. I'm an outsider. I came in here and kind of disrupted things, in the local market, and it's challenging. It really is. Yeah, I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I really. I'm not sure on that one.
Right. So let's get into policy, Vinson. Vinson, would you like to add something to that?
No, I basically think that the seasoned argument is an excuse for people because they think that he has no chance. And at the same time, they're hearing that a lot of good things that he is talking. So how do you get, out of that kind of a discussion where if he's really good, then why you're not supporting him or why he's not going to be? Then they say that he's too young, and he actually looks too young too. I mean, so when Trump came from as an outsider, from business, I mean, he was a matured older gentleman, so he didn't look like, okay, he's a young guy. But Vivek looks very young, and so was Obama when he came to run. So was Kennedy. So I don't consider that as a main reason why that he's going to have a problem. If he can get close to being a number two and becomes immediately, Trump's the next rival in the primaries, that will kind of start vanishing, that type of a viewpoint.
Right. So let's get into policy now. Vivek made a statement during one of his speeches, or in fact, in all of his speeches, he says this. He says he is going to increase the voting age to 25, unless, of course, you write a civics test. And I think that is viewed as controversial, not just on the left, even people on the right, even people on his side say that's a bit too much. What do you think, Michael?
Well, that's a good question. To 25 years old, I think that's a little extreme. Most folks are considered an adult age here at 18 or 21 years old. I don't think that's going to sit well with many people. I know the Democrats want to get into the schools. They want, juniors and seniors in high school, 16, 17-year-old kids, voting. We're not going to do that either. I kind of think, where we're at now is not a bad number, 18 years old. You're old enough to go and join the military and sacrifice your life for your country. You should be able to take a vote. I think what we really need to focus on here in the United States is election integrity. Versus, moving the goalpost, for voters, from 18 to 21 or 25 or 16. I think we just really need to focus on actually having clean elections for once.
Vinson?
Yeah, I think that is basically an argument that he made to push a point that people have to be matured. Because when the Democrats are now talking about reducing it to 16 or even 14, and some people are talking about that is perfectly all right for federal elections as well. I think there has to be a push from the other side saying that, no, they have to be mature. Because if you ask my younger son, he is less than 25, he's already a Vivek, contributor, because I just told him, he actually, donated to Trump also. Because he got a job, and then only Vivek says this, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh wow, so I cannot vote for him. then I was just trying to tell him the same thing. Remember, I was asking you years ago that whether you want to vote, and he said, yeah, I want to vote. But then I said, no, you haven't filed your tax returns, you haven't made any money, you haven't had a job. What do you know about the country? So you're not eligible to vote. And then that's the same point that he's trying to push, and it's not in his hand anyway to reduce the or increase the age to 25. So I think it's basically a counter to the liberal left, so that this becomes a discussion point where people take maturity and understanding of the country seriously. I am a person who took that test that Vivek is talking about to become an American citizen. That is too simple. A lot of Indian citizens who doesn't have anything to do with America will pass that test. I really want that test to be a little bit more stringent and a little bit more difficult. So even if they're only 18, if they can pass the test, yeah, go ahead.
Right. So, Michael, you are an outsider, just like Donald Trump is. Vivek is also an outsider. Now, remember, Donald Trump spoke about draining the swamp. He spoke about disassembling the establishment. Vivek seems to be speaking along the same lines. He wants to drain the swamp. He wants to dismantle the establishment. So, don't you think Vivek would suffer the same fate as that of Trump?
It's guaranteed. Even myself, I get attacked a lot, by Democrats, obviously, the head of the Republican Party, but, also, Republicans as well, the establishment Republicans, here in our area, they all come after me. To this day, they still come after me, because of the disruption that we cause. This is these people's career. Okay. This isn't my career. I don't get paid for this. I do this 100% voluntarily. And, these guys feed their families by doing this, so when someone like myself or Vivek or Trump, come into it and start, saying, hey, well, what's going on here? This isn't right. Why are you doing this? If you come in here and you start calling balls and strikes, well, that's not fair because you're a Republican. You should only attack them. But, at the end of the day, I'm an America First Republican. You know what? Let's put our country first versus our party first. And I think everything else will work out fine with that. But unfortunately in our country, we have political parties. I don't think politics is the problem. I think party politics is the problem.